Sucio talk, right? Here we go. We gotta keep this close, though. We don't want the beers getting hot. All right, so welcome back, Chef Jason Mckinney. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Should I say?
Back here in the beautiful studio you got going on over here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. New studio, new look, new camera angles. So just trying to work on it. So how you been, man?
Good.
Been a while since I had you on the show. The last time we did it in your house on Adeline. So a lot has changed since then. You had some issues before you landed at the spot you're at now, the warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the turning point where you were like, we need a warehouse? Like, we cannot be doing this out of the house anymore.
We ordered a few pallets.
Yeah.
We got to the point where we weren't just ordering pallets, we were ordering truckloads.
So you need a loading dock.
Yeah. Literally, we're unloading trucks.
Right.
Semi-trucks. We're like, okay, we'll take one truckload of boxes. And we were like doing it clown car style.
Yeah.
Or it would unload it in the middle of the street. We'd stop traffic for 30 minutes, and then it'd be like, and everyone would run, and we had to break it down on the street because we didn't have a forklift, and run it inside.
So your entire house was just full of boxes?
Well, we're at the house, and then we did land a little kitchen in Emeryville. It was actually the first kitchen that they filmed Top Chef in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
First season of Top Chef
ever. Yeah.
Harold. Shout out to Harold. He won.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think unfortunately, his restaurant's closed or had to close a while back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm not sure why. But it seems to me like when you are, when you win those competitions, it's like a music label. Like, then they own you, and you have to open all the, like, if you sign a 10 restaurant deal, you're opening 10 fucking restaurants, and there's no telling if they're going to be successful or not.
And it's the what's hot, what's not,
Exactly. I bet you half the concepts are, he's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But I remember I watched that with Tyler, Top Chef, in the dorm rooms of college, Johnson & Wales. Fucking crazy.
You got a 10 restaurant deal?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, when you win Top Chef, there's like requirements and shit. From my understanding is all I saw the articles where he had to close his restaurants due to just like not being able to keep the doors open, business wise. But I don't necessarily think that Harold had the mind to be like, yo, I'm gonna open 10 fucking restaurants. You know what I mean? I think at some point it was like Top Chef being like, we have all this agenda we gotta complete. You're the chef who won the first show. You have to go dance now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's the difference between silver bullets and lead bullets.
Meaning what?
Meaning everyone thinks that there's this silver bullet that's going to get it all figured out.
Right.
If we just do this, or if we do this. And I think back in the day, I do think there was, like, you had a great restaurant, you got a food review from a famous food critic.
Right.
And then you are set. You're set for like 10 years. And then people's attention span is not there. The competition's super high, and so it's not silver bullets, it's lead bullets.
Yeah.
You got to win Top Chef, and then you got to go win Chopped, and then you got to go, go get a Guinness Book of World Records. Like, you got to, like, Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank says it really well. Like, great marketing is always keeping your name in the headlines.
Yeah.
Why do you think every time anything happens in the world, you read something about Elon Musk? Right.
That's true.
Like, COVID hits, Elon Musk is helping deliver ventilators. Wherever. War starts in Ukraine, Elon Musk is delivering Starlink. Like, that's marketing. That's lead bullet marketing.
Right. Do you think he's one of the masters of that?
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he is where he's at?
In his daily routine, he wakes up at 3 a.m. and calls journalists.
Uh-huh.
For 3 hours a day, he calls journalists.
What does he?
Tells them about what he's working on.
Really?
Gets them the right stories.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe I should take a page out of Elon Musk's book.
Mark says the same thing. Mark Cuban says the same thing.
Really? And that. So let's clarify that in case you guys haven't listened to the first episode. Jason went on to win Shark Tank, got a deal with Mark Cuban, who just reinvested.
Yep.
Right? And we
got an angel round open right now.
Angel run?
Angel round.
So if any of you got loot out there, you want to invest in Truffle Shuffle, an up-and-coming company out here fucking slaying the game, definitely, how do they do that? How do they get a hold of you?
I just threw it on the top of the website today. There's this really awesome program called Angels List.
Okay.
It's called Angel List, but I keep calling it Angels List.
Right. Sounds better.
Mm-hmm. And they got it set up where if you're an accredited investor, which in the laws today, if you make over 200, if your household makes over 200 grand a year,
right,
you can invest as little as $1,000 into a startup like ours that has a growth potential of 10x, 100x, sometimes 1,000x.
Right.
And then it all, for the business, it all gets rolled under one cap table, one line item on your cap table.
Mm-hmm.
So then they invest in that, and then it rolls under the business under one line item. So it's really cool. We just went on this thing called Stonks. And
I was there that day. That was incredible. Like, you managed to raise how much in how little time?
We went on in 10 minutes. We had $2.7 million in investment interest.
$2.7 million. Love that. How did you get onto Stonks? How did you hear about it?
Lead bullets.
Lead bullets, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Look for every possible source to move the business forward.
Yeah.
And I found it, and I sent 100 emails. Got a hold of someone. Then after the first meeting, sent hey, what's your address? I'd love to send you some products.
Right.
Product. Hey, what's everyone's address on the company? Sent product to everyone that works at the company. And it's a cool concept too. I love stuff like that where they're trying to think different and better on how to disrupt the long-standing legacies that have been there, on that I personally think stand in the way of people starting their own things.
Yeah, 100%. But for a long time, it was just everything's controlled by big corporations. I think now we're seeing a world where they're getting called out.
Mm-hmm.
They have to actually take action to stop doing the things that they've been doing. So I'm happy for the change that we're making as a whole.
Yeah.
And you get to benefit from that as well. Now, your company blew up in pandemic. How has it been after the pandemic is all said and done? Because you're virtual cooking classes, so you need people in their homes. How is it now that people are like out and about?
There's a lot of things we're learning,
Yeah.
During the pandemic, we had the ability to break all the rules of marketing.
Right.
Like we were doing things that people just had never heard of. We did an event with Snoop Dogg, and 1 week sold $150,000 worth of experiences for this thing with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Like even today, like when Snoop Dogg advertises his concerts, he does that 2 years out. And so we were able to kind of just break all the rules and build a massive audience base. There's 25,000 total households that cooked with Truffle Shuffle. We work with 10% of the Fortune 500 companies.
Right.
And so now that we're out of the pandemic, we have this audience base that we've been working with, and we've learned that we need to listen to them and figure out, okay, people, now that we're out of the pandemic, they want flexibility.
Yeah.
And our goal during the pandemic was almost like a adrenaline, like it was like a drug addiction to see how many people we could fit into one virtual Zoom cooking class.
Did you break the Zoom?
We've broken Zoom a couple times, like their limit on there when we had Snoop Dogg on, Zoom, it naturally has a limit of 500 participants.
Right.
Right. And so a lot of people do it like a webinar. We run it like a Zoom meeting, right? And you have to purchase to get to above 500. And we did that, but then there's one checkbox in the back of the admin settings.
Yeah.
Right? That I didn't know about. And so I got Snoop Dogg trying to join our Zoom class, and I had wired him $35,000 to join.
Right.
And his agent, or his homie, sends me a picture. It's like, yo, you got to fix the Zoom. Text me a picture of while we're doing this thing, and we're literally, it's like a revometer. It's like capped at 500.
Yeah. And
we happen to have Mark Cuban's growth marketer, a guy named Q Harrison Terry. Shout out to Q Harrison Terry.
Shout out to Q Harrison, man. Also been on the podcast, Sucio Talk. The Metaverse Handbook just came out. Fucking cop that shit. And the NFT Handbook.
Super dope guy.
He wrote the Metaverse Handbook with Paris Hilton.
Did he?
That's one of the names on the author list, and I'm like, huh, like what the fuck does she's got to do with NFTs?
Yo,
but I'm curious.
And again, Paris Hilton, lead bullets.
Shout out to her.
Amazing marketer.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. But he was there, and he's like, yo, you got to hit that thing, and he showed us where it was, and then another 600 people piled into this thing.
Okay. Yeah. That's dope. You were able to save the show.
We saved the show. I was very nervous the entire time.
It's all good. What are you going to do?
It worked out. We had
Have you had any other stars on since then?
We had Raekwon on from the Wu-Tang.
Raekwon the chef.
Yeah, we had Method Man on. That was tight. I'm not supposed to say this, but Method Man wasn't wearing any pants.
Really?
He didn't know it was live.
So he logged on with no pants on?
And then he stepped over the camera, and he's like, you guys can edit that out, right? And we're like, Mr. Method Man, there's 400 people on here with us.
You're like, Mr. Man. His last name is Man.
And so that's cool. And then after the Method Man thing, we've been very experimental with all this. And so we have a little group of kind of different performers, a couple of the guys from Hamilton that we'll bring on when it feels right now,
Right.
And so now we're really, we love doing the big promotions, but we're really trying to focus on there's all this that we've learned through doing this, And a business, there's something called product market fit, where if you have product market fit, it means that if you spend more money on marketing, it should grow. You have a product that people will spend money on,
Yeah. And up until now, you guys haven't spent much money on marketing.
Yeah, we've literally, we did $10 million with zero spend on marketing.
Is that unheard of?
People, when I go into investment meetings, they literally think I'm lying. Or
Yeah.
they think I don't know.
You don't know what you're talking about?
They think my marketer's spending all this money that I don't know about,
I like that. Damn. How many investment meetings have you been to? How many pitches have you pitched?
I don't know, maybe 400.
Yeah.
400, 450.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're in the room with those guys, what have you found is the best talking points to get to your goal of, achieving, getting some money from these people? Is there a common thread, or is it just different every time? You never really know. Or is there a common type of person that's interested in your business?
So I have not found the common thread.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to say that there's a common thread, it's that they all look for what they call signaling, which is where someone else has already made the decision to invest.
Ah, okay.
And they're just following that signal.
Yeah.
And then the investment meetings that we do really well in are when they're with people that have actually really put the work in to build something.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walk them through how we've done what we've done, then it's no brainer.
Yeah, because they have the respect.
They get it.
Yeah.
But then when I do investment meetings with people that very successful, but maybe they went to a nice school and now they're a doctor.
Yeah.
Right. And there's never been a day where they had to think about for a second, are we gonna make payroll?
Yeah.
They had to think about for a second, like, are the lights gonna be on next month? You know? And those are the ones where they love to ask about metrics that, like, ask about metrics or things about the business that you would learn in, like, business school.
Right.
That I'm like, literally doesn't matter at all.
Right.
You know? Like,
are you finding that people are, when they find out that you didn't go to business school, are they like turned off by that? Are they like,
I don't know. You know, we've been having a lot of high level conversations with some pretty serious VCs.
Mm-hmm.
And the first meetings I had, they'd be like, "Hey, this is, congratulations. This is like the American dream. You guys grew this out of nothing."
Yeah.
And then, but I would never get a second meeting. And I spent a good amount of time, like about 7 months studying what not necessarily just what they're looking to invest in,
yeah,
right? But what are the traits of these companies that have done really well, like Airbnb or Zappos or Southwest, right?
Yeah.
And the more I studied them, the more I did realize Amazon's another one to look at. There's a common theme amongst a business that creates a massive amounts of value for its customers and is a great investment. And so after studying that, I mean, I was going in investment meetings. We had made, $8-9 million, and I didn't know how to use Excel.
Right. So you had some bit of imposter syndrome. You're like, what the fuck?
I went in the one meeting and I had just put some metrics on a slide deck I'd taken our actual data from the customers and put it on a slide deck, and one of the investors was like, "You think they're going to spend this much money with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Listen, don't fall in love with your spreadsheets." I was like, "Listen, I don't have any spreadsheets."
Yeah, these are real numbers.
But I went and I studied a lot, and what I did learn is that, like, when you teach it to yourself, there is a way that you can forecast the future success of the business by utilizing a tool like Excel, and you can get as granular as you want, and then that allows you to then take a large team and divide out responsibilities, look at it, and then start running at it. And so at first I'd have one meeting. I was able to get the meeting, but I'd have one meeting, and then now I'm at the point where we're on to we still haven't got a yes from a big VC in the game, which is, I think, is for the stage that we're at, it's very understandable.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies always want that one meeting and everything checks out and they write a check immediately. But truly, when you look at the companies that have been very successful, there's not a path.
Yeah, like a recipe for success.
There's not a common path.
Yeah.
And so now we're at the stage where we've had multiple meetings, been invited in person, and what kind of happens is they say, "Hey, here's the 3 to 4 metrics. If you hit these by then, we'd like to partner with you."
Right.
And so we're at that stage with about 5 or 6, really awesome large investors that could help take Truffle Shuffle to that next level.
Right. And what is this new round of seed money sort of gonna do for the company? It's like you have infrastructure, you have a warehouse where you can pack your kits. You have studios. What more can you invest into other than marketing to grow your business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the best way I can put it is what we're investing into right now is we are building the technology.
Okay.
Right. And so imagine if there was no Airbnb platform for Airbnb.
Right.
Right. Imagine if they were like, "Hey, we're going to go find hosts. We're going to take their rooms and we're going to make posts on Craigslist." And then we're going to take a percentage of that transaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It would never go anywhere, And so we're not using Craigslist, but we're using Shopify.
Right.
And so now what we're investing into is we've been building a culinary live stream platform and marketplace that could allow any chef in the world to launch their own virtual experiences, sell their products, and then live stream from Japan to America, right? Or live stream from Latin America to India. Right?
Yeah.
Live stream from one place and literally teach the entire world and be that platform that allows a chef to build their brand. And so, you look at certain companies, Etsy being one,
Yeah.
That allowed crafters to build their brand. The number, I think, 2 sales on Etsy revenue driver is actually sellers selling crafting materials to the crafters on Etsy. And then, you look at what Twitch did for gamers, Airbnb did for homeowners. Eventbrite got very popular. A lot of people don't know this, or maybe they do this, I don't know. But I learned that it got very popular. They couldn't raise any money. And then when 2008 hit, accountants and marketers and all these people that had these skills that got laid off from these big positions went on Eventbrite and set up little meetups to teach people how to do accounting. And so, we wouldn't be in business today if we didn't have Shopify. And so we want to be that for the next generation of chefs.
Right. What is your ideal chef creator on the platform? Is it a mom? Is it a retired professional chef? Is it who are the chefs of Truffle Shuffle?
So ideal chef creator today,
yeah,
would be people that are already doing live streaming experiences.
Okay.
Right. So, and when we say chef, we're talking about, our focus is going to be on food, nice food and beverage, right? And so, an example is we work with about 100 different wineries up in Napa.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ones we work with is Nickel and Nickel. And before the pandemic, they had 10,000 wine club members. Now they have 14,000.
Okay.
Right? Because now their wine club is everywhere. It's virtual. And so they do these experiences once a month. They'll work with Truffle Shuffle and host them. And so we've built out the tools that allow them to manage that entire thing and then have a portal for the people that are doing the experiences with them to access. And then imagine if while doing that virtual experience, you could literally be like, and would you like to buy this bottle right now? Hit the button on the screen. Or tip the chef. Do things that really allow a community to come together even if they're not all in the same room.
Yeah.
And so that's one example. Another example is there's the Caviar Co in San Francisco.
Okay.
They're doing virtual experiences. And what we've learned is that even post-pandemic, virtual experiences are the most profitable sector of a lot of these small businesses.
Yeah.
And what it really does is allows you to take someone. And so Beth Nickel comes on and said that was the closest that she had ever felt to her wine list in the past 20 years. Because she had 500 people, 500 screens all in one place. And so people could ask questions, she could answer. She really was with everyone. And so today's people that are already doing it, already have a need for it. And then what we want to grow into is that you could go to an incredible restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And on the menu, there's a QR code. And you scan the QR code and the chef's like, hey, if you love this menu, it's on Truffle Shuffle. You can subscribe to me and you'll get access to all of these recipes on Truffle Shuffle. Once a month, I do an event, and you can join me. And then it allows these unbelievably hardworking chefs to start to bring in more revenue, whether it's to themselves personally, directly into the restaurant, and then really build and sustain that community that's there.
Yeah. Very cool. How many chefs do you sort of have just waiting for this product to be built?
So we got about 5 chefs that are at Truffle Shuffle today, 10 chefs total that are in the
mix
ecosystem.
Yep.
And then we set up a wait list, and we got about 400 chefs on the wait list there.
Dope.
We got about 4,000 people that have, and literally I put this at the footer at the website. I didn't send an email, right? I didn't say anything. Footer of the website, and then we got about 4,000 people that want to to be the first, get early access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that we're looking at that's really cool is that for us to get to scale, we don't need, like Uber needs 100,000 drivers or whatever it is, right? For us to get to scale, we need about 148 chefs is what we've mapped it out to be.
Okay.
Total. And have it be a really dedicated thing. And we're really going to try to look for people that want to, it's got to be routinely. That's the biggest thing that we figured out. It can't be like people have to be very consistent to really build that community.
Yeah,
to trust
exactly. Which is what I found with the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably alienating a lot of people right now because I haven't put out an episode for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because we're working on upgrades here. We've upgraded the game,
Yep.
So I feel like
they'll be forgiving.
Yeah, if you take a break, you better come back strong. That's so that's what you got to do. Man, well, I'm fucking super happy for you, man. You guys are killing it over there. What is next after this? The round of money, because that was, I know, the biggest goal for you when I talked to you like a few months ago. Now that you have that little bit of money coming in, what is the next step in the trajectory of the business now?
Well, even with a little bit of funding, with the current economic state, inflation.
We going into a recession or what? People are calling it out there.
The thing that when it comes to that, and I spoke about it on the last podcast, but I watched my dad lose his entire business in 2008, right? And I just sat the entire company down, everyone in the entire company, and had a meeting and let everyone know that, we got to be vigilant. And recession, no recession. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that disagree with me on this, but there is a good amount of it. It's a mindset thing, because like the experts say we're going into a recession.
So then we go into a recession?
Well, and then they also say best time to start a business is in a recession. So it's like, well, if it's the best time to start a business, why is it not the best time for a business?
To run a business, right.
And what you don't see behind the picture of the stories that you hear of companies that fail is the drug use happening inside those organizations, the leader in charge that never had good intentions, and whether businesses, what I communicated to the team is that I spent a lot of time after watching my dad go through what he went through, and I've been very fortunate to be able to, talk to guys like Mark, and we have Mitch, that's a mentor, and we just got the CFO of DoorDash as a strategic advisor to Truffle.
Dope. Shout out for beer.
A lot of really incredible people have been willing to give us the time of day, and the thing that I heard again and again is like, businesses fail when the people who started them are ready to let them fail.
Right.
And the way that and this is my understanding, right? I'm very new in figuring this all out, but the way this recession works, I mean, even you see it, like, if you look at the articles, the first people that start calling this are the large investment banks.
Right.
The ones that have the money to buy stocks when they're low, And I went to this talk, and I got to listen to Lloyd Blankenfield, who was a former CEO of Goldman Sachs, talk about how a recession happens. And the thing that is interesting in a recession is it's not that the amount of money in the world has changed. It's just that the entire world is on credit, right? So, like, this bank lends this company money, and then this company owes this company money, and then this company buys this service from this company, but is going to pay him in 30 days. And what should have happened when COVID hit is that we should have hit a recession immediately, because basically people get spooked. And they say, well, I don't know if they're going to pay me for what I'm owed, so I'm not going to pay you. And then it has that ripple effect where everyone just stops. And they, injected the economy with stimulus, kept it going in the right direction. And now that when they stopped that, we're kind of feeling the effects of that. And so ultimately, what I'm saying is like, there's, large businesses is one thing, but if you're a small business owner, like one of our advisors told us that when they were about to go through something, their CEO brought the whole team together and said, just so you guys know, we're not going to participate in this recession. And it's something that hit me pretty hard and made a lot of sense. And it's like, it's a game of value, like,
yeah.
Are you going to work hard enough to figure out how to still deliver value to your customers, even if cash is tight?
Right.
Like, what else can you do? And a lot of that comes just from going and talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys want?
Yeah. Especially when they feel people are there for them.
Mm-hmm.
You guys deliver such a happy product that it's something that I definitely want to do if I was, obviously it costs cash, but I don't know. It's something to make you happy, gets your mind off of things, eat some delicious food at the same time. Very cool.
What I've seen is a direct correlation between, like, the more stress there is in the world, the more people like cooking.
Yeah.
It's a stress reliever.
Do you miss the kitchen life at all?
I don't know if I miss the kitchen life. I loved working at the laundry.
Yeah.
So it's not that I never liked it, but I do feel like I'm working on what I'm supposed to be working on right now.
Right. Do you feel like you'll ever go back
to working in the kitchen?
Yeah. To being a chef? So. No?
Chef Keller told me when I was ready, I could come back and work the meat station at the laundry.
Are you ready? Are you ready to work that station, Chef?
Well, no, I think what he meant was, because I left right before I was supposed to go on to meat.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, you can come back for a week and work the meat station whenever you want, Jason. So,
dude, you should do that. That would be so tight.
After Truffle gets successful,
yeah,
I'll go roll up to the laundry and see if they even remember me and ask if I can work the meat station for a week. But at that point, I'll be like, do you remember? I don't know if this happened to you, but we used to, every once in a while, I would have like like a guest chef, but like, there'd be like someone that wanted to come like stage and
right. They hang out for a month or so.
Yeah, and they're a little bit older.
Yeah,
you're always just like,
what are you doing here?
yeah. And then, but they were like, just a little slower, and like, you could tell they're super nervous. Their shit wasn't. That's how I think I'll be when I go back.
Right.
Like, when I was in it, I was like, what's up? Let's go. And then I'm gonna be that person. The cooks are gonna look at me and be like, what is this guy doing here? Trying to cook the fucking meat. Chef keeps roasting the shit out of him.
The chef from Gordon Ramsay in London came and staged with us at Meadowood. And this dude's intimidating as fuck. And he was just like staging, and I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm the chef of Ramsay. And I'm like, excuse me? And then they're like telling this guy what to do. It definitely teaches you a little bit about like leadership and how to manage people that are way above your skill level. That's I think one of the cool things about stages. Like they can teach you that.
Yeah, we had Corey Chow come stage at the laundry.
Really? How long?
For maybe about a week.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, he put his knives in my knife drawer and hung out on my station for a little bit.
He took a liking to you.
He's such a cool dude.
Yeah.
Cool, an incredible chef, just so talented.
That's crazy. Do you still keep in contact with him?
I got his number. Every once in a while, I accidentally send him a text when I hit everyone up on my text blast.
Yeah.
Do
you just literally text everyone in your phone?
I try to not, but I got about 700 people, and I've had this one app that makes it look like it's coming from me.
Right.
And I just hit the button. I also have E40's phone number and Massimo Bottora's and Thomas Keller's.
Why have Massimo Bottora's phone number?
Because I went to Italy.
Well, right, but you just go to Italy and you get Massimo Bottora's phone number right off the plane, or what?
Well, I flew to Italy and I drove to his restaurant.
Right.
I only went to go to eat at his restaurant. Did I ever tell you this story or not?
I don't. Maybe I don't think so.
So, basically I was in. So Chef Keller sent me to France,
right,
to cook in France.
Okay.
And I was like, "Hey, chef."
Is that the internship that you won?
Yeah, that they do the.
Tyler won it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you win it?
What's that?
How do you win it?
You know, there's different ways. They would have like essay contests.
Uh-huh.
So I wrote
an essay
about learning how to truffle hunt.
Damn.
That's truly where like the whole truffle obsession came from.
Really?
Yeah. The laundry was about to close down for like 3 months. I was certain I'd be the first one fired. Right? I'm like, I just got here. They're going to shut this thing down. Something's going to go wrong. And then, you know, they're going to be like, well, who should we let go of? And they're like, well, he knows nothing about anything here. So why don't we fire him? You know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what can I do when the restaurant's not open? I was like, if I go to Bouchon, then they'll be like, great, you stay down here.
Stay here, yeah.
And so they used to give the guests these purveyor handbooks.
Yeah.
And it had all the different purveyors in it. And I was like, okay, well, what if I go visit each purveyor?
Okay.
You know, I was like, I'll pay for it. And so I had the idea. I brought it to chef. I told him about it. And he was like, yo, that's a pretty dope idea. Let's talk tomorrow. And then the next day, he was, and his exact words were, instead of, I don't even know if I should say this, but instead of going and jerking off each purveyor for 30 minutes, what if you went and saw the ingredient?
Don't jerk off the purveyor, chef.
And I was like, what is the ingredient I'm supposed to jerk off?
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, the winter white truffle. And I was like, oh. And I didn't really know anything about it. And I went home and just started researching truffles.
Right.
I was like, dude, these things are crazy. And the next day I was like, all right, cool. And I wrote this whole thing up about truffle hunting. I got to find that article.
Yeah.
And, you know, printed it out, multiple copies, handed it
First draft, rough draft, second draft.
You know, and done really nicely.
Yeah.
Handed it to chef, and he was like, sounds good, let's go.
Yeah.
And then the timing got messed up, but basically went out there, and Chef Keller sent me to France, and it was very nice of him. Unbelievable, you know. A lot of times people, especially doing the classes now, they'll ask me like, hey, what was it like working for Chef Thomas Keller? Like I think the response they're looking for is for me to like say something negative about him, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that man has dedicated his entire life to cuisine, you know? Like done an unbelievable job.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much respect for him, for Chef David Breeden, you know, for everyone that's come through that restaurant and made an impact and made it better, you know? Mm-hmm. And so when I was getting ready to go to France, he was like, hey, give me the list of restaurants you want to go to, and I'll send every single one of them a letter from me personally.
Whoa.
I was blown out of the water, you know? I'm a 21-year-old kid, you know, and he did. One of the restaurants I wanted to go to was Osteria Francescana. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, chef, could I go to Osteria Francescana? And I had just watched the chef's table, and he's like, I don't know that restaurant. And literally, the restaurant's number one in the world.
Yeah. And Thomas Keller's like, yeah, who is that?
Who's what is that?
So Thomas Keller did not know who Massimo Bottura was.
He literally was like, never heard of it. I was like, okay, chef.
I mean, I guess when you're the man.
Yeah, I was like, maybe.
You don't got to fucking look for anybody else.
I just assume I said it wrong, you know?
Yeah.
I probably said the name wrong. Francesco.
Yeah.
And so, but he had his assistant send Chef Massimo an email. And so I get to France. I got to work at one restaurant called Frenchie's. chef named Austin Johnson just opened up a restaurant in New York called One White Street.
Okay. One White Street.
You're the man. Yeah.
What's his name again?
Austin Johnson.
Austin Johnson. Chef Austin Johnson. We need you on Sucio Talk.
Cooked for him at Frenchie's in Paris, which I think he's the only American chef to get 1 Michelin star in Paris.
Really?
That's gangster.
So he is a culinary gangster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really cool guy, man. Like, I didn't work for him for that long, but made a lasting impact on me.
Yeah.
I had never worked for anyone that had so much, I don't know how to explain it, like so much organizational energy.
Okay.
Like, I'm not trying to say he was unorganized.
Right.
But I'm just trying to say that, like he would roll in day of, menu change, sit down in the morning, write it all out in a book, bring all of his cooks over, right? And be like, this is the menu we're doing today.
Yeah.
And everyone would just start working on it, Like, at one point, he's like, we're putting gnocchi on the menu. And one of the guys is like, well, we left the gnocchi roller at home. And he's like, well, go get it.
Yeah.
And the guy left and got on his bike and went and got
the gnocchi roller.
Yeah, gnocchi roller that he really liked. And
That's
I was
right.
like, dude, and it was just cool. But he wasn't like, he wasn't like a jerk. But it was high energy, fun, tiny kitchen, really good food, super flavorful.
That's the way it needs to be, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really cool restaurant.
Those small kitchens really teach you organization, and they teach you, like, I don't know what it is, flavor. Just like when you work in a big restaurant, it's hard to focus on one dish because you're serving fucking 400.
Right.
But, when you work in a small kitchen, it's like, yeah, you might be serving maybe 100 people tops, but still, like,
And I think they were doing, like, in France, I mean, they were doing 20, maybe 40 a night,
Yeah.
And so, and then they had, it was this cool street, so they had that, and they had a wine bar, and then I think they had another little thing down the street. It was really cool. It was just awesome story. And so, cooked for him, and then I had 3 days that I didn't have anything lined up.
Where'd you go?
And so,
Osteria Francescana?
Yeah, I was like,
you rented a car or what?
So it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Uh-huh.
And so got up in the morning. With my sister Ansley was with me, and I said, all right. The night before, we booked these plane tickets. It was like $70 for a flight to Italy.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm in Europe, flying from France to Italy to just go see if we can go see Osteria Francescana, go see Chef Massimo, right?
Right.
And we land. And European airports are much nicer.
Yeah, they really are. They're more efficient.
If you're like,
you
late,
go through security, like,
they get
quick,
you on the flight,
quick.
And so we were late, and this lady helped us get on the flight, and we got there, and then we land, and we go to rent a car, spending way too much money, you know what I mean? And we got to rent this car, and the car rental was like, 3 days, it was like $340.
Yeah.
Which was like,
that's fucking cheap today, baby.
Right, but
today's like $3,000.
Right, back then I'm like, oh my
God. How am I gonna eat next month?
Yeah. I was like, whatever. And so it's because it was so expensive, the dude was like, would you like the GPS?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much is it? He's like $15. And I was like, no, we're not getting it. And I pulled my phone up and I had the maps on my phone.
Yeah.
Like, no, I got the maps on my phone. But I was on the airport Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right? And then I look up Osteria Francescana and realize that it's closed on Sunday, Monday.
Really?
Because I just, coming from the laundry, I thought every restaurant was open.
Open 7 days a week.
Not how it works. And so it's Saturday. It's like, we're landing at like 10 a.m. and realize that the restaurant
it's not open.
So it's open Saturday, going to be closed Sunday.
Oh, gotcha.
And originally I got like wrinkled clothes and everything. And originally I was like,
I'm wearing racks.
Yeah, I was like, okay, we'll go to this Airbnb. And then I had this big thing about booking Airbnbs that were Airstreams.
Okay.
Somehow I found an Airstream in Italy. And so we go, and I said, okay, we'll go to the Airstream. We'll get dressed, and then we'll wake up the next day, and we'll go see what we can make happen here, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized we only got one shot at this thing. If we want to go meet Massimo,
we got to do it today.
We got to do it today.
Right.
Right. And now the way I like to roll is that I bring a gift.
Okay.
If I go somewhere new, I meet someone, I'll have a gift, right? Tonight I brought cocktails, right?
Oh yeah. Let's pour it up out here.
Yeah.
We got a special cocktail here.
Yeah, so check these out.
Who are we talking with here?
Yeah. There you go.
Is this one of them?
No, that's a kombucha.
Boom.
So Robin Road.
Yep.
Max Robbins and Teresa.
Max Robbins, who also worked at the French Laundry. Yep. So did Teresa.
Mm-hmm. Coming on the podcast next.
That's right. Where are they at now? Where they based out of?
Ohio.
Yeah.
And they are launching an organic.
There you go.
Ready to drink. Cocktail.
Canned cocktail.
Yep. Robin Road. It's pretty dope. I'm going to read off what they got here. Genuine flavor. Celebrating nature. Delicious handcrafted. Small batch, ready to drink cocktails that reflect our revolutionary standards of excellence, integrity, and great taste.
Man, it tastes like a soda.
And they are delicious. Mm-hmm. Better than anything I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, no, it tastes like.
It's like a cocktail. But like a good cocktail.
But it's not like overly alcoholic. Because I got those ones, I'm unsure of the brand, but they got a guy with a beard on the can. And then like a woman who's a park ranger. I don't know if anybody knows that, whatever. But they're not good. They're like alcoholic. They seem separated when you get them.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are. They are. What is it? Malt hops.
You talking about canned cocktails?
Yeah. A lot of them are. It's like the runoff from beer.
Right.
Hop. I'll think of it. The runoff of beer that they just add like cocktail flavoring to.
Really?
Like the Lime-A-Ritas.
Oh.
It's just.
That's what that is.
Yeah, it's. And I wish we were live and someone could tell me what I'm trying to say.
My mom.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's the beer water. It's like alcoholic.
Right.
And then they just add. It's a runoff, and they just rebottle it and add lime flavoring to it and call it a.
I mean, my mom loves the Lime-A-Rita.
I love the Lime-A-Rita too. I'm not gonna lie.
But I didn't know that it was just like
nasty, if you look at it, it's like 18% whatever, and it says whatever is in it. But anyways, in Italy,
right?
So I'm in Italy.
There's no Bud Lights in Italy.
What's that?
There's no Bud Light in Italy.
Bud Light.
Yeah.
No, they got Peronis.
Yeah.
And so, in Italy, I'm with my sister. We start driving towards this Airstream. And the farther we drive away from the airport, the less landscape we see on the map. And now we basically just get down to a road and a blue dot. No, like, take a look.
No texture.
No, nothing. And there's all these highway turns that are like circles, roundabouts.
Right.
And so we kept having to go around and around until we finally got to the right one. So our 2-hour drive became like a 4-hour drive. But eventually we got there, and I still didn't have a gift to give to Massimo, but my sister had just given me a watch.
Oh, what kind of watch?
It was a wooden watch. Nice, made on Etsy.
Okay.
And she had engraved in it sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. And then put it in a nice wood box that had an M on it. And I was like, Ansley, I think I got to give Massimo the watch. She's like, you can't give Massimo the watch. It has an M on it. I was like, well, his name is Massimo.
Yeah.
And she was like, damn it. And so I take this watch and I put it in this thing, and I get to Italy, and I get to his restaurant, and I knock on the door, right? Nervous. I'm in these wrinkled clothes. And my sister's waiting in the car. Beautiful restaurant. And I knock, and I swear to God, this other guy comes up to me. And I don't know what he said in Italian, but he was like, I think he just said, "Don't worry, I got you." And they open the door, and then he starts talking to him in Italian and walks in, and I just follow him. Right. I'm just right there with him. And then I think he was asking for directions or something. And then eventually they're like, "Ciao, ciao, ciao." And they look at me and they're like, "Ciao." And I was like, "Actually, I have a meeting with Massimo. He should be expecting me." And they're like, "Oh, excellent. Would you like to take a seat?" And I was like, "Yes, I would." And I sit down in Osteria Francescana, #1 restaurant in the world at the time, in the little lobby, wrinkled clothes, and this little box, this watch in my hand, right? And Massimo comes out, and I realize that it's lunch service.
Oh.
And he comes out all sweaty and just like so much energy, and he's just looking at me. He's like, "Yes, hello, what can I do? Who are you?" And I was like, "Chef, my name is Jason." And he's like, "Okay." And I go to stand up, and he's like, "Sit down, sit down, sit down." But he's standing up, so I'm looking at him. Like
right.
This. I'm like, "My name is Jason. I'm a chef from the French Laundry. I've cooked there for 4 years." And he's like, "What? Okay, what? Why are you here?" I was like, "Chef, I'm here just because I wanted to meet you." And literally, like, his whole demeanor changed. He stopped. He grabbed me, gave me a hug. He kissed my forehead.
That's so fucking cool, man.
And
it's
I was like, "I brought this gift for you."
Yeah.
And he opens it. It's a watch. He's like, "I love this." And he puts it on. And he's like, "Are you hungry?" He said, "Do you want to eat something?" He did one of these. I was like, yes, chef, I would love to eat something." And he's like, "Okay, come on." And I was like, "Well, chef, I have my sister with me." And he looks at me and he's like, "Where is she?" And I was like, "She's outside." And he leaves the restaurant.
Right.
To go
to go get your sister.
And she's like, a half mile down the road. And I'm like, "Chef, she's like parked down the way." And he's like, "Well, go get her."
Yeah.
And a horrible accent, and I was like, "Okay." And I run out of the restaurant, and I run down the street, and I run past her, and she was like, "Jason." And I see her, and we go back, and then by the time I got back, he had the entire restaurant lined up. All the cooks, all the service staff lined up.
Right.
And I had a table set up in the kitchen. And took us back to this table, got us champagne. It was a standing table in the kitchen. And then he basically, we ate the entire menu at Osteria Francescana, but he brought it to us. He'd like walk to this station and do a whole bunch of things and then be like, "Okay, pick up 2 for them." And then he would bring it over to us and he would explain the dish.
Yeah. So you possibly had the best dinner anybody's ever had at Osteria Francescana.
The best dinner I've ever had. It changed my entire viewpoint of life.
Damn. I mean, that's very special, Jason. When you were like, "I came here to see you," like, that's fucking,
And can I tell you what was going through my head at the time?
What's that?
So Chef Keller has this little office, right?
Right.
And then it's like, it's in the kitchen, and you can see it, and it's like a glass office.
Oh yeah, that's where the one tops sit, no?
Mm-hmm. And so the entire time I'm doing this, I'm like half ecstatic, half terrified. And in my head, I imagine sitting there with him and Chef David Breeden, both in the office.
Yeah.
And them towering over me and being like, "Jason. Yes. Jason. Yes. Jason. You work at the French Laundry.
Yeah.
Yes, chef, I do. We serve French food. Yes, chef, we do. We sent you to France. To learn how to cook French techniques. Yes, chef. So what were you doing in Italy? The whole time I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to get so barbecued for this. You know? It's one thing to do that when you don't work at a 3 Michelin star restaurant, you know? But I still work there. And I wasn't trying to get a job or anything. I just wanted to see what you know, I wanted to see that side of things.
Yeah.
And so the entire time that was going through my head, you know. And then Chef Massimo and his entire team were just so incredible. And so we went to go take a picture, and on the pass, he had the San Pellegrino #1 restaurant award.
Right. Yeah.
And when we went to go take a picture, it was covering up the face of one of his cooks, and he moved it out of the way, like almost like tossed it. It's like, why are these still here? And moved it out of the way, and I got to take a picture with him in his restaurant with my sister Ansley. It was just like such a special experience.
That's cool, man.
Like Cloud 9 after that.
I'm glad you told that story on Sucio Talk, man.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that. That's crazy. Massimo Ventura, good dude.
Yeah, really good.
Very good dude. Is Osteria Franciscana still open?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because, you know, things come and go. You don't hear about it anymore.
Yo, they got #1 twice.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who else got #1? It was like Noma, EMP, and Massimo.
Yeah. I think Noma's gotten it like
3
3 times now. Or
who's that?
I think Noma's gotten it like 3 times because they just did something where they reorganized like the best of the best.
They just keep being better and better.
They just did something where it's like the greatest restaurants go into this category, and they can't get it again. Mm-hmm. So it's only newcomers that are in the San Pellegrino top 100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they don't do repeats anymore.
Yeah.
They're gonna run out of fucking restaurants.
Potentially, yeah.
You gotta do a list of 100 every fucking year. Like, I know there's a lot of restaurants.
Yeah, I don't know how it works exactly. Maybe it's like top 10 or something.
Yeah. Maybe top 10.
But it is those legacy restaurants, you know, where it's like the Fat Duck, the Laundry.
Yeah.
You know, those guys that have been at the top
forever. The Fat Duck. I'd love to go eat there. At the Fat Duck. But I don't know if you can anymore.
The Fat Duck?
Yeah. Check close, right?
That was an awesome cookbook.
Long fucking time ago. Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah, that's a dope cookbook. I read that entire thing.
It's really dope. It's like, and also I get sad because, and I probably sound dumb as fuck because that restaurant probably did close a long time ago. But I don't know. I haven't looked it up in a while. I wonder what they do in the spaces of restaurants like that.
A restaurant shut down?
Like I know that restaurants open up in spaces where other restaurants have closed, but imagine opening up in like, say like the French Laundry closes. Who the fuck is going to open a restaurant in that building and like give it the same energy?
Well, they sold
the
that kitchen.
You know? What do you mean?
When they did the renovation, they put the old kitchen in the shipping containers. Mm-hmm. And then
they sold the shipping containers?
They sold the shipping containers with the French Laundry original kitchen for $2 million.
To who?
I don't remember, but the guy that's who I was talking about, where there was that older kind of out of shape chef. Whoever bought it sent their chef to go like watch how we cooked in the kitchen, you know?
Did you say out of shape chef?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they cryovac something and you're like, I gotta redo it.
You're gonna have to redo it again.
You know, it's like bunched up at the top. It's not flat. You're like,
yeah. You know, that's sad though, because it's like cryovac bags are so wasteful.
They are.
Like, I can't, man. I won't sous vide anymore. I refuse.
Yeah.
I refuse. It's not worth it to me.
But yeah, I don't know. Qua I think shut down in San Francisco, and that's there.
Yeah.
That's a really nice.
What
really
restaurant
nice
is in the Qua space?
What's that?
What restaurant is in the Qua space?
There's nothing yet.
There's nothing in there.
There's also that Hubert Keller Fleur de Lis.
Okay.
That's been empty for 20 years. Linen, you can look through the windows. The linens are still like in there.
Really?
Because it's like it's supposed to be like a champagne light, a chandelier inside. So I think sometimes these spots close and they never get fulfilled,
Yeah.
Because people look at it and maybe it's too much renovation or whatever. But yeah, that spot's still open. Fleur de Lis has been, he's got the burger restaurants in Vegas that I guess make his money for him. But the San Francisco spot closed. But yeah, it's like what happens to Chez Panisse. Hopefully, a lot of these establishments never have to close. But
whoa, Chez Panisse, their sommelier just passed away.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
For a long time. Yeah, I think he worked there for over 20
Sorry to hear
years.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Andres and Nico were talking about it last week. Because he would roll over to Snail Bar and like taste with them and things like that. Yeah. And, so R.I.P. Fucking crazy. So how does it feel to be a CEO? And is your family like, Jason's big time now?
I don't think they've ever said that.
It's all good. But you don't ever cuz sometimes I feel like I'll ask you this. Are you the most successful one in your family?
I don't think so. My brother's a firefighter,
Well, yeah. I'm saying in terms of like business. Because I know your dad had his business, but then he lost it and things like that.
Out of my direct family?
Yeah.
Even out of my indirect family, out of just business, I do have a business that is I think I'm the only one that has a business.
Your dad was the only other businessman in your family?
No, both my grandfathers had businesses too.
What'd they have?
One grandfather had a fax machine business that he sold to Xerox.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, and the other one had an assembly line business. And then my great grandfather had a curb laying business.
A what?
Laid like the concrete curbs for the universities down in Florida.
Oh, wow. Dude, there's so much like shit that you can do in this world. Like there's so many little things that go into everything. It's like how we get here sometimes I'm like astonished how we're still around. And, like,
as a kid, they used to basically, I don't want to say barbecue me, but all they would talk to me about is how to start a business.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, could we go get some candy bars? And they'd
yeah.
be like, well, you could buy your own candy bars. Have you thought about that, Jason? I'd be like, well, I'm 6.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'll give you $20. And we'll go down to the market. We're going to get a wagon. We're going to get some potatoes. Put the potatoes in the wagon. You're going to go door to door. You're going to sell them. Whatever potatoes you got left, we're going to plant them. Next season, we'll have more potatoes because we planted these ones, and we'll go sell those.
So they're always...
Dude, every day they would just talk to me about ways to make money, and I would be like, well, that could work,
Yeah.
And then eventually, even I'm like 8, I'm like, well, how many people are going to buy potatoes,
Yeah.
What else are we going to sell them?
So you've been a businessman your whole damn life.
I've always thought about things, I think, a little bit differently than I probably should have.
Yeah. I mean, when you come from that kind of background, I mean, it's like,
I always wanted to cook. I always loved cooking, but then I got to a certain point where I was like, all right, what else am I going to do?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think
as a kid, I told people I would be a chef businessman.
Got you.
I
think if we learn anything from Mitch, it was like you can live many small lives, and it doesn't have to be this one long thing where you feel like you have to like put all your effort into one activity and like be successful at that. It's like, you can fucking like you can race boats for 8 years and then you can, move over here and become a aerial photographer out of a helicopter. Just normal things that anybody can do.
Well, in India, they don't have ADD.
What?
Not a thing.
Really? Why?
And so in Indian culture, they believe in reincarnation. And so and I've read a good amount about it, and basically what we view as ADD or ADHD, in India, they view that as someone that's close to reincarnation. And so in their one lifetime, they have to live many lives. And so in the country of India, they're looked at with a lot of sympathy because they're going to have a very difficult life.
The ADD people.
The ADD people.
Me and you.
Correct.
Right.
And so they're looked at, and it makes a lot of sense, that you're going to live these kind of multiple lives in one lifetime.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to look at it.
How has it been like? You get a lot of shit done. You're doing spreadsheets now. Like, as a person who has ADHD, how do you focus on what you have to do and like get it done?
You got to know yourself really well. Know yourself really well and just know that there's nothing that you can take or whatever that other than coffee that will help you get where you're trying to go.
Yeah. Coffee, man, I tell you, that shit is there's nothing like that first cup, man.
Nothing like it. So I don't know. I did a podcast on
You were on another podcast, Jason?
What's that?
You were on another podcast?
And so I did a podcast with a guy named Peter Shakeman who has a podcast.
Kind of hurts my feelings.
What's that?
It kind of hurts my feelings.
This was a much shorter podcast.
Okay, got you. Okay.
It's called Faster Than Normal, and they keep it under 20 minutes for people that have ADD.
Really?
And
so it's an ADD podcast.
Mm-hmm. Fuck. It talks about if you know how to use it correctly, ADD is a superpower.
Really?
People who have ADD are 600% more likely to be successful in business than people who don't.
Well, I like my chances.
Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Damn. And how is it how can you use it as a superpower?
So where ADD comes from,
okay,
right? They've tracked the gene back on this. And so my short story of how I got so interested in this is that I was working, before I went to the laundry, I was working at this 5-star restaurant, and I was not a great cook, I worked really hard, but I just never was as good as the other people that just got it. And I went and I got a prescription for Adderall, and I took that, and I was like, this is going to help. And then it just made me worse, made me robotic. And one day I was helping clean out the freezer, and it was a really expensive freezer, and I'm all excited. I get it cleaned up. I take everything and I put it somewhere else, right back in the freezer in the back. Next day I come in, Chef Danny asked me to sit down. I sit down. I left half the shit in the freezer. And it was half of it was all the expensive stuff.
Right.
And so he looks at me and he's like, listen, how did that happen? And I was like, I honestly don't know. I cleaned the freezer out. I told myself, okay, freezer's clean. I didn't double check it. And he's like, what they're going to tell you is that 80% of people that have ADD are going to be unsuccessful. But they're not going to tell you about the 20% of people that are unbelievably successful. And he also had ADD. And he had put his phone down, and he's like, every time I go anywhere, I put my phone down, face down, like this, just like I did when we sat down here, right? And he told me this at 19 years old. When I walk home, I put my keys, phone, wallet in the same place every day. And he's like, if you get control over it, you can use it to become like, to use it to your advantage. And so he really made an impact on me there. And then I kind of went on this path of like studying it as much as I could and learned a good amount about it. And when I got to the laundry, I said, I'm going to become a great cook on my own. And I did whatever it took to just become a great cook. And so to answer your question on like how do you manage having something like ADD and running a business like I have today, and it comes down to, really knowing yourself. And I kind of look at it like a bike, right? Like if you can, ADD isn't that you're unfocused, it's that you have a spotlight.
Right.
And whatever you focus that on will get all this attention,
Everything else can go fuck itself.
Exactly, And so you got to know that, and you got to know yourself, and then you got to say, okay, what's the thing that might need to get set up right now, but then needs someone to manage it and maintain it for months on end, And so if you're great at getting things set up, then know that you're great at getting things set up, and then document it, and then work with someone to take it over. Or, a lot of times it comes down to like the challenge. And so I believe you got to activate enough dopamine to have a large enough challenge, which does become a useful thing in business to not be like scared to act, And so that's where like on the sales and marketing side, it becomes pretty natural to be able to say, hey, how do we accomplish this goal, and put a lot of effort behind it. And then I think it also comes down to having being very open and honest with people about it, I had people read that book, The Faster Than Normal.
Yeah.
So that they understand that, like, I do kind of think about things differently, And then I try to have a lot of empathy for people, too. Because very quickly you can kind of, like, you can think that you're thinking faster than everyone else is or whatever. But you got to really, just, like, listen.
Yeah.
Take the time, listen to people, try to hear what they're saying before you just make a decision and, you're 10 steps down the pathway. Like Mitch told me, I asked him, I was like, hey, did you ever have a business mentor? And he's like, no, nobody could keep up with me, And at first when he told me that, I took that as like, well, I got to hammer it. And now I take it as like, I got to you can't like move people. You got to move the team. You got to work with the team, The team has to move the business. So now I try to spend a lot of time like trying to get things properly documented and getting the lessons in place and trying to work with people to make the best decisions possible. And there's a lot of it, like there's nothing that I would change about who I am or how I do things.
Right.
And having the understanding of like what environment is needed for me to be able to get the right amount of stuff done.
Fuck yeah, Jason Mckinney. I think we leave it there. Sucio talk.
Dope. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, dude. Fucking, you guys are amazing. You guys helped me out so much. Cheers.
Some Robin Road here.
Double cheers. Robin Road. Where can people buy this? Is it available?
I think it's limited release.
They're going to just buy it online?
It's cool. You can scan the QR code.
Ah, shit. Okay, there you go. Scan the QR
Instagram
code
for now, but
RobinRoadCocktails.com. RobinRoadCocktails.com. Let them know that you heard about it on Sucio Talk.
Yep.
All right. Fucking thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
Everyone out there, hope you learned something.